This time on Watchers of Tomorrow, Kirk reenacts an episode of Mythbusters.
Hello everyone, I am Gep and I was joined as always by my good friend Dr. Izix.
Hi.
And this is Watchers of Tomorrow, the sci-fi critique show where we talk about nothing for a long time. There's been very little in these episodes recently. That's not given us much to work with.
Well, I don't know. Maybe we'll get lucky this time.
I hope so. This is one of the most famous Star Trek episodes ever, but not by name. It is like the most famous Star Trek creature possibly in history.
Iconic.
Yeah. Like picture original series Star Trek in your mind right now and imagine an alien. You are 90% of you are thinking of the alien from this episode.
Yeah, some sort of lizard man with like big eyes and that are sparkly.
Yeah.
And he's like kind of grr face and lots of teeth and a kind of a unhappy expression, sort of.
Yep. This is episode of the original series 18, titled Arena.
Arena? You mean we're gonna have arena football?
No.
Oh, okay.
It is it's a weird one. Like I said, it's pretty iconic. It was written by Gene L. Kuhn, who
what's he about?
I don't think he's shown up in a lot for writing. He's done just a decent amount of TV writing. But he possibly based this on a sci-fi story by Frederick Brown, also called Arena. It's a short story that is actually pretty famous in early sci-fi circles. It was also put into the Science Fiction Hall of Fame. Since the last time we talked about the Science Fiction Hall of Fame, I learned that it is actually a set of books.
So
not a
like
museum. Yeah.
Right. Well, maybe someday.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed. But it's a pretty well-known short story, and the episode may not have been based on it. Kuhn turned in his script for the episode, his draft, and the legal team noted a similarity between this episode and the short story.
Whoops.
So they decided that it was a better idea legally to buy the rights for the short story and give it a based on credit. So it may or may not be based on the short story Arena by Frederick Brown, but the short story Arena is actually the inspiration for a ton of sci-fi shows.
Very, very, very good.
Yeah, it's been the basis of an episode of The Outer Limits, a basis of the episode of a British sci-fi show from the 70s called Blake's 7, which
I love me some Blake's 7.
Yeah, I'd never heard of this before.
Oh, it's glorious, and it's very British, like sci-fi from the early 80s. That's the genre. And it's the distillation of all of that, all in one show.
We might have to try to track down a couple episodes of that later.
Oh, I love that. I used to watch it on PBS. Anyway, keep going.
Well, my favorite one that I actually watched this when I found out that this was also based on the same short story. It is the episode is the basis of an episode of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Also titled Arena.
Imagine that.
Yeah. And I watched that. It's basically an identical plotline to this episode. Almost entirely. Just change out Kirk for He-Man and the alien for Skeletor.
Glorious. Well, I guess in some ways the setup is pretty straightforward. I will go into it to the episode itself. I want to go to the episode itself, but it's sort of one of those things that it's kind of understandable to a certain degree. That it's like, well, we're writing something, but it's also sort of a convergent evolution sort of thing as far as writing goes.
Yeah, it's a pretty old idea. Interestingly, all of the adaptations seem to share a similar twist on the original story, which we'll get into once we've gone through the synopsis here.
Yeah.
So There are quite a few guest stars in this one, but lots of them die within the first 10 minutes of the episode, and I didn't want to write down that many names.
It's that guy, gonna bite it and soon be dead, and the other ensign.
Yeah. So the main guest stars are Ted Cassidy again. This is his third time showing up in the show, once as a physical actor and twice as a voice actor. That was a weird distinction. Yes, he is the voice of the Gorn.
Mm-hmm.
The Gorn,
that's the alien we mentioned.
Yes, the Gorn itself is played by two different stuntmen in a rubber suit. So 2/3 people play the Gorn on screen. And then we also have Carol Shaling as the Metron.
The Metron. That sounds dangerous, but we'll find out exactly why soon enough.
I had the voice of the Metron not written down, unfortunately. Darn.
Yeah, the voice of the Metron, according to this, is someone named Vic Perrin.
Okay, yeah, that's why I forgot to write him down, because he's one of those dudes that doesn't even have a Wikipedia page.
Yeah. As I'm double checking the IMDb here. Apparently he was in a bunch of stuff. Like, he apparently died in 1989, born 1916, and he was in Super Friends.
Oh, interesting. So, like, he and Ted Cassidy, as it appears with most of the voice acting on the show, went uncredited.
Which is kind of a terrible thing, because it's, it's like, yeah, you're not physically on screen there, but you are kind of needing to act here. Though I guess maybe for the Gorn, it's a little easier than other things.
Possibly.
Yeah.
All right. So, shall we jump in? So this glorious story of combat and betrayal
and strife and thinking and
rocks.
overthinking and underthinking,
lots
and
of rocks
around and rocks. Oh, and a return to an iconic location shot we've already visited once.
Yep.
So if I recall, we start out orbiting a planet. Is that
correct?
Yes,
we join the Enterprise in orbit around Cestus 3, where the crew are preparing to beam down, and Kirk and McCoy are talking about how good the food is going to be, because Commodore Travers, who they are going to visit, is legendarily hospitable.
Oh, that seems like a pleasant experience. Maybe we should have come here for shore leave. This would have been great.
I know.
We wouldn't have had to deal with all sorts
Why
of
didn't
weirdness.
they do that? That would have been way better. Travers calls the ship, requesting that they bring down tactical people.
Well, that's kind of cool. You're planning some war games as part of the hospitality, festivities here?
It seems like. He says that they have a problem to work on. Spock wonders why he is so insistent about them bringing down tactical personnel, but McCoy is really annoyed that Spock is getting between him and the food.
McCoy just wants to eat.
Spock calls McCoy a sensualist. McCoy agrees, and then they all beam down.
I'm going to insult you. Thank you?
Yes. The actual line is, "You're a sensualist." This is damn right. The crew appear in what looks like a war zone.
Oh. This is not what we expected.
There's burn marks all over the ground. There's smoking ruins behind them. There's craters. Kirk calls the ship and says, Cestus 3 has been destroyed. And we cut to credits.
Maybe I jumped the gun on the shore leave offer there.
Yes. I just love how, like, emotionless and matter-of-fact he reports this to the ship. Cestus 3 has been destroyed.
Yes. It's gone. It's all dead. Everybody's dead, Dave. Everybody's dead. Oh, okay. Is this you don't sound like you're bothered by this, Captain.
Yeah. Which is weird given his actions later, but yeah.
Yes.
The crew take cover, and Kirk suggests that the messages that drove them there were fake to get them into an ambush. They find a survivor lying in the rubble. McCoy works to keep him alive as Spock picks up more signals that are cold-blooded life forms approaching them.
They must be robots. Or wait, no. There's other things. We haven't run into any robots yet.
Kirk orders the red shirt Hurley to go take a look. Hurley runs up and turns red and gets vaporized.
Well, I guess he hurled himself to that job.
Yeah, he lasted about 10 seconds there.
Yep.
The crew continues to be under fire with weird whistly bomb noises and explosions.
Yes, it's like they're under attack by mortars or something like that.
Yeah, it
which
seems
is very,
like.
just like not super sci-fi, but I guess it still kind of works.
They call
They're just
them,
trying to
they
blow
keep
people up,
referencing them as disruptors.
Yeah.
But there's no visual effects. There's just noises of explosions mostly, and then a few actual dirt explosions.
A little firecracker going off that was like buried in the dirt.
Yeah. Kirk calls to be beamed out, but Sulu reports another ship has appeared, and the Enterprise has put up its defensive screens. Kirk orders an attack on the other ship, but this apparently does nothing, and he orders Sulu to protect the ship at all costs, including leaving them stuck on the planet.
Well, bye, Captain. I'm out of here.
Kirk asks Spock to locate the colony's arsenal, and he runs across open ground under fire, doing nothing but rolling around and crawling occasionally.
Time for dramatic action!
Sulu reports that the attack against the other ship continues to fail, and Kirk orders them to leave orbit.
Go, Sulu. I don't mind. Just tell everyone that I was handsome to the very end.
Kirk runs into a small building. Spock also runs across open ground for no reason to the small building.
They know that they have plot armor.
Yeah, they do. Once there, his tricorder starts smoking, and he has to throw it away as it explodes.
Well, that seems like a terrible way to have your technology work, just in general.
Yeah, I mean, so the consoles on the bridge constantly explode.
Yes.
The tricorder can be targeted and explode. What doesn't explode?
Can you guys have like batteries that don't become volatile death machines at a moment's notice?
I mean,
please?
we can't, so.
Yeah. Oh, true. This is the future. Everything's supposed to be able to work better.
We all carry around a bomb in our pockets. Yeah, we can't talk.
In fact, some of our listeners might be listening to us on one of those kinds of bombs right now.
Oh my god.
Oh no. We're sorry.
What
We're
have
sorry.
we done? Kirk finds a grenade launcher, speaking of bombs.
Oh.
He calls for Lang, but another dude shows up and says Lang is dead.
Well, hi Lang. Who are you again?
This is Kowaltz, but he's apparently also good for whatever Kirk needed Lang for, because he's able to guess where the attackers may be, and Kirk loads the big blue ball thing that's apparently a grenade into the grenade launcher, and it makes this giant blinding explosion.
Oh, it's a good thing that the enemy weren't using these on this location. Otherwise, they'd all be dead by now.
Yeah, they've got some sort of awesome antimatter grenades or something.
Yep.
Massive
All the other
mortars.
guys just have just mortars and disruptors that look like mortars and behave like mortars.
Sulu reports that the other ship activated its transporters and seems to be leaving orbit. Kirk orders 30 medics to beam down to the planet to just leave, I guess.
Yes. 30 medics to never be seen again.
Then they beam back to the ship. Kirk interrogates the survivor they found, who tells them that this was an orbital bombardment that just destroyed the entire colony, including women and children, despite them surrendering and begging for mercy, etc., etc. Then he just starts yelling "why" over and over again.
Why? Spock, why?
Yeah, this is too bad, because this guy keeps going, why did they do it? Why did they do it? And this would be a cool cut if this guy wasn't just repeating why did they do it a million frickin' times.
Why?
Because they cut from him doing that to Kirk answering, but we're all then in Kirk's quarters where he's talking to Spock. So it's a pretty neat edit. But it's ruined by this guy just rolling around on the bed going, why? Kirk surmises that the only explanation is to get at him. They want to lure the Enterprise into a trap by destroying the colony, destroy the Enterprise, and then open up this sector of the galaxy for invasion.
Oh, that seems like that's a terrible plan for the Federation people, the Starfleet people, to have only one ship in the area to defend an entire huge spite of space.
Also, I just love how narcissistic this theory is.
Yes. Obviously, they're coming for me.
Yeah. They killed an entire colony of people to get to me.
Well, I guess Kirk's kind of insulted then, not because of all the death and destruction, but it's because it's him.
Now, since the aliens are definitely coming for Kirk, no question, there's only one option, and that is to destroy the other ship before it can return to its home base.
Yes. We must destroy them forever. Red alert, everybody.
Yes, the first red alert ever.
Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, there's a couple firsts this episode for this sort of stuff here.
Yeah. To that end, in the chase, Kirk orders them to increase speed and overtake the other ship.
Warp 4, sir? No, that's way too slow. Warp 5, sir. That's too damn slow. Warp 6, too damn slow. Warp 7, too damn slow.
Yeah, this is the first time we seem to get warp numbers, aside from like 1. They've named like warp 1 before. But now we have actual numbers. Yeah, the other ship keeps increasing its speed. Kirk orders warp 7, and everyone looks at him like he's a crazy person.
Captain, we don't know what a warp 7 is. We've never been there.
Well, Scotty says that if they keep up that speed, the ship's going to blow up.
That sounds like a bad thing, yeah.
Spock wonders if they even need to destroy the other ship in the first place, because maybe them being chased off is enough to scare them. But Kirk says that if the aliens don't get punished, they're going to be back.
To lure him into another trap or destroy another colony? Maybe both. We don't know yet.
Yeah, I don't particularly understand his logic here. It's like, this ship seems to be pretty far away from its home base. If they get there, if they like destroy the ship before it returns, all the home base knows is their ship disappeared. Mm-hmm. This doesn't seem to be like, oh, we attacked them and got punished. This is, we don't know what happened.
Yeah, I guess maybe the better option would be to severely wound them.
Yeah, probably that would be better. But Kirk's out for blood here. The other ship continues to match speed. Kirk continues to increase speed until they pass an uncharted solar system that starts scanning them.
Oh, that's funny. But we run into those plenty of times. That usually is horrible news.
Yeah, but they just kind of ignore it.
Let's just keep going. It'll be fine.
An unknown advanced alien race is scanning us. That's okay. Don't worry about it.
What did we do last time? Did we try to ignore them? I don't think so, sir. Okay, we're going to try to ignore them this time.
Sulu reports that the ship they're chasing has suddenly stopped dead.
Oh. Well, that's weird.
Kirk doesn't care about this. He just looks really happy he's finally getting to kill something.
It's time to get my murder gloves on.
But before they reach the other ship, the Enterprise is also stopped dead.
Uh-oh.
Scotty reports the engines are down and the weapons are down, but life support's fine.
Well, at least they're not going to, asphyxiate here. Or asphyxiate.
They're fine. Spock reports that the ship is being held in place by some sort of unknown force emanating from that solar system they passed earlier.
Well, they got no obvious damage. The weapons aren't working. Is it a tractor beam? Is it some sort of hug robot?
They don't know. It's impossible, apparently. Everyone keeps going, this is all impossible. Oh my god, they shouldn't have ignored the solar system. It's always bad when you ignore weird things, which they do a lot for a science ship.
Well, maybe it's like, they were, it wasn't a scan, but it was an actual communication attempt. Like, hey guys, we want to come hang out? You're kind of stepping all over my space garden there. No, stop it, guys. Stop it. I said stop it.
Yes, a voice announces itself as the Metrons.
Oh.
Which sounds like a Pokemon.
Yeah, as I say, isn't there like a Metreon or something like that? Or a metronome type Pokemon?
Something. I should know this.
The Magnetrons, no.
No, there's a Magnite and then there's a Magneton. That was the other one. I don't think there's a Metron. Or Metrone. I don't know.
There's like one of them has an ability that sounds like
Well, there's Metronome.
Oh, okay, yeah.
This is Pokemon Hour.
Suddenly, Pokemon invade Star Trek.
The Metrons are annoyed that the ship has come into their space on a mission of violence. So to settle this, they're going to send Captain Kirk and the captain of the Gorn ship to go fight it out and settle things.
Oh, a wrestling match. Awesome.
Say both of them are going to be given a recorder/transmitter so that they can record the details of their fight and that it will dissuade others from coming to Metron space in the future.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, we'll be able to keep a log of our capital beatdown here, and Kirk will be able to like let everyone know just how awesome he was.
Yeah,
Neat.
there's way too much monologuing in this episode.
A little bit, but we're just getting to it now.
Yeah. The veterans say that the planet they're sending them to has all the stuff they could possibly need to kill each other. Yep.
So, like, a battle axe? I want a battle axe.
Maybe. The loser will have their ship destroyed, and the winner will get to go on their merry way.
Well, if Kirk was here to murder somebody, this is a great way to do it.
Kirk suddenly vanishes, and Uhura gives a very undignified scream.
Yeah, it was kind of like, my notes, Uhura just kind of screams.
Yeah, also, this is exactly the same thing that just happened last episode.
Yep.
No one screamed then.
Nope. It's like, poof, people are gone. Oh, okay. But this time they're a little more shocked, I guess.
Yeah, this is the second time in a row that we've just gotten random screen or random people disappearing from the ship.
Well, maybe last time there was like an after episode scene where, they're all like, well, it was good that you guys kept your composure, but I was really expecting more of you to be like upset and screaming that we just kind of vanished. Oh, should we be screaming more? Oh, okay. I guess next time it happens, we'll do that.
Remember that for next time.
Because this happens so often.
Kirk appears on the rocks from shore leave.
Yep. Wait. Is Finnegan back? Oh, no.
No. These are actually called the Vasquez Rocks. It's a park just outside of L.A.
Mm-hmm.
I looked this up. You can go there. If you look at the Google Maps page for it, the pictures, they're putting on like a nativity play right where Captain Kirk and the Gorn are fighting. I found that kind of hilarious. We see the Gorn, which you've all seen. It's the big green dinosaur-looking dude with glowy crystal eyes.
Yes.
Tense
eyes.
This is a really cool suit, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very good creature design. But unfortunately, the budget they were working with means that they were able to do the suit sculpt, but none of the other things you need to allow someone to act in the suit.
Yes. So it comes off a little wooden as far as acting ability goes.
Unfortunately, it can't really articulate, and also the actor obviously cannot move in the thing at all.
Yes. Which I guess they kind of used to good effect as far as the episode's concerned. But we'll get into that in a moment.
Yeah. The Gorn just sort of growls at the captain.
Grr.
We get a captain's log. Kirk has been sent to the planet with the reptile.
The reptile is huge and large.
Yes. Kirk talks about how he has an instinctive revulsion towards reptiles. He's got to remember that it's actually an intelligent being. Yeah, it's very racist. Also, what's wrong with reptiles?
Nothing really.
People don't have an instinctive revulsion toward reptiles. Some people have like a minor fear of snakes.
Yeah, because that's sort of like something from our early evolution where it's like, oh, we don't want to get bitten by this poisonous snake. Let's like jump when we see one.
Also, just a PSA for everyone, because I grew up in the land of poisonous snakes.
Hooray!
And snakes will not bother you unless you touch them. So leave the snake alone, and it will never hurt you.
I just want to be hanging out, guys. Leave me alone.
As an aside, did you know that 90% of snake bites reported in America are to young men between the ages of 16 and 25 to the face and neck area?
So it's almost like they've picked up the snake and are dangling it in front of their faces.
Yeah. I imagine the last words of many of these people are, hey, look at this.
And then, zack. Numb on your face.
Yes. The snake does not like it when you put your face in their face. Now, back to the show. The Gorn, which unfortunately my word program has continuously autocorrected to corn.
So the corn attacks.
Yes. That doesn't sound good.
Should I do a Dr. Weird impression here?
If you like. But
gentlemen, behold, Gorn! That wasn't a very good Dr. Weird impression there, but anyway.
That's fine. The Gorn grabs like a giant stick. It's basically half a tree.
Yep.
Kirk grabs a little stick.
It's like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very good.
Then he throws it away. Yeah. They have, like, a really cringy fight. Like, the gourd swipes really, really slowly, and Kirk ducks under it like it's going to hit him. And then
like, oh no,
he does that weird two-handed down fist thing that they do in Star Trek a lot.
Yeah, it's like, I'm going to slam you to the ground with this. It's very slowly.
Yeah. Which, like, this is not a fighting move where you, like, put both of your hands together and bring them down really hard on someone. That's not anything.
It's more like a gesture, really.
Yeah. Kirk grabs a big rock and throws it at the Gorn. It accomplishes nothing. The Gorn grabs a bigger rock and throws it at the Kirk. Kirk runs away.
It's like, oh no, he's able to outrock me.
Yeah, basically. It's just, I have a stick. I have a bigger stick. I have a rock. I have a bigger rock. Well, darn.
This isn't going to work like I planned. Maybe this wrestling match idea was a terrible idea.
We cut back to the bridge where they've tried everything and nothing works. This was a pointless aside.
Yeah, pretty much everything else that happens on the bridge at this point for the rest of the episode is kind of pointless.
Pretty much, yeah. Kirk uses his recording thingy to give us updates on the situation. He sees that the Gorn is basically a nigh invincible super being, but he hopes that his agility can outrun it.
Yep, so he's making good use of the costuming decision and production here.
Yep.
So
the Gorn is apparently listening to this through his little stick thing.
Because Kirk doesn't realize he's hitting the transmit button as opposed to the record.
Yeah. Kirk wonders why the Metrons told him there were weapons when all he sees is sticks and rocks.
Yeah, well, maybe it's like real simple weapons. Maybe I can like fashion an axe out of this.
And some minerals and stuff. What I just don't get, he's like, where are all these weapons? I expected like laser guns and stuff. All I see is sticks and rocks and random junk. It's like that they said you have everything you need to kill each other. They didn't say they're going to give you a phaser.
Kirk, you're spoiled rotten.
Yep.
Deal with it.
He says he just really needs to figure out this weapon thing. He runs through some bamboo, but he doesn't like any of it.
Yeah, it's just sticks. They're kind of semi-hollow.
Weirdly enough, I think this is one of the first instances of Chekhov's bamboo.
Yep. Because this will be very important later, guys. Believe us.
The Gorn is tying a vine to a rock. Yep.
Some sort of trap?
He's laughing about it. Kirk monologues about how he found diamonds, but he doesn't want valuable rocks. He wants a weapon. Where are all the danged weapons?
You know, on a barren, quote, asteroid where you could breathe for some reason, millions of miles away from anywhere interesting, diamonds kind of are useless for most situations.
Yeah, diamonds aren't even valuable on Earth. Why do you care that there are a bunch of them on this asteroid?
But I wanted to make a diamond necklace and wear it around. Maybe it'll impress the Gorn and we can go on a date.
This is like Kirk's Henry V monologue. It's like, millions of dollars worth of stones, but I would give it all for a weapon.
A bit, yeah.
My ship for a horse. Kirk sees the Gorn making a weapon. Kirk's been complaining. He's like, where the heck are my weapons? And there's the Gorn's like, I'm making a knife. Do.
Ooh. Oh, maybe I should be making weapons.
Kirk does not try to make a weapon. He rolls a really big rock on the Gorn. Which this is like some Wile E. Coyote stuff happening here.
A little bit.
He rolls down a really big rock. The Gorn gives this shocked reaction pose. Like, ah.
Oh no, a boulder.
Basically, anytime you see a Power Ranger punch someone in a rubber suit, that is what this looked like.
A little bit. And I like the next bit, after he climbs up to the edge of the rock, throws it off very slowly. It collides the Gorn, and there's like a puff of dust and smoke around it, and it's like, this suddenly feels like DBC as opposed to Power Rangers.
The Gorn's knocked out for a little bit, but otherwise it didn't seem to help. Kirk runs away and trips on the vine from earlier and then gets crushed by rocks.
Well, he bouldered the Gorn, and now the Gorn's bouldering him just remotely.
Yep. The Gorn closes in and is about to stab him with his stone knife, but Kirk moves and runs.
Like the Gorn, like sort of half pulls the boulder off Kirk in order to stab him, and then Kirk's like, "Well, I'm going to take this opportunity now that I can move to flee."
Yep, not a good plan, Gorn.
Nope.
Also,
you had him right where you wanted to.
This is not an exciting fight scene at all. It's like,
nope.
He rolled away slowly.
I've mentioned a few times, I'm kind of delighted by the cheesiness factor in a lot of the stuff, especially the action scenes. And this was maybe the cheesiest one yet.
Yeah, I think that's why everyone knows this episode. This is the cheesiest fight scene in the history of cheesy fight scenes.
Yep.
On the ship, Spock is trying to contact the Metrons, but there's no answer. Also fairly pointless.
Yeah, he just wants to talk, man. What gives?
Kirk is still using the recorder thingy to talk about how much he needs a weapon. He's found some sulfur, and he needs to remember something that he knows about sulfur.
Maybe some sort of, I don't know, a history class? Maybe, no, it was a science class.
The history of science, probably, in this universe.
Yeah, the history of science class. There we go. Now, we were able to do something with sulfur with, I know. We could make things smell? No.
Yeah. Rotten eggs.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we're gonna annoy him with sulfur then. Yeah, there we go.
The Metrons finally contact Spock, and they tell him that Kirk looks like he's gonna lose. But to comfort you all, you can watch him die. And then the scene from the planet appears in the viewer.
And everyone's just like, hey, we're gonna watch some Star Trek. This is cool.
Kirk is leaning against some white powder that Spock identifies as potassium nitrate. Kirk licks it. And
Kirk seems to be starting to figure something out.
He smiles a bit. Yeah, he licked it and smiles. And says,
I love me some potassium nitrate.
The Gorn uses the recordy stick that they can apparently talk to each other through to tell him that if he just stands still, he'll be merciful and kill him quick.
Oh, okay. I'll come out then. Wait. That sounds like a terrible plan.
Kirk asks if that's what they did at Cestus 3. The Gorn replies that the colony was an invasion of their space. McCoy goes, "Oh, could we have been in the wrong? Oh my god, what if we actually did invade their space? Maybe the Gorns were just defending themselves. Are we the baddies?"
Dun, dun, dun. Now, I have to sort of take a pause here and point out that the Gorns haven't really, complained before this point, from what I understand, and they haven't really done anything like, say, this planet is ours, go away.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. We can talk about this, but I'm not exactly sure how the politics here are supposed to work.
So it sounds a little weird. But yeah, assuming that the Gorns are in the right here, then yeah, then these Starfleet people are in the wrong. That's unsettling.
Back on the screen that we're watching now, for some reason, we see most of the action now through the screen on the view screen, which is actually kind of annoying because it just crops the whole scene down to another screen that we're seeing.
Yep. It's yo dog, I hear you like TV screens.
Kirk limps back to the bamboo and grabs kind of a short, wide piece that he then wraps in a vine for some reason. Spock is really pleased with this, and he tells McCoy that Kirk has figured it out.
Kirk is a smart boy. Hooray, I've taught him well.
This is not a good way to build suspense. Spock keeps going will he figure it out? I don't know if he's figured it out. Oh, he figured it out. Kirk throws the potassium nitrate that he found earlier into the tube. Spock says that he now just needs to find sulfur and coal, and he can make gunpowder.
Excellent.
So what he needs to do is find sulfur and coal and potassium nitrate and or guano, which is another good source of an oxidizer. You need to grind it together for 6 to 12 hours. Then if you want to make modern gunpowder or some of the more explosive types, you have to soak it in water for at least another 24 hours, dry it, turn it into little bricks, and then grind it again. So yeah, totally can make gunpowder.
in just a few minutes here that we have left.
And that's even before you get into like smokeless powder.
Mm-hmm.
Kirk fills the tube with diamonds, then sulfur, and then he just randomly stumbles on some coal.
Well, that was convenient.
Yeah. He just dumps it all out onto a rock and starts crushing up his gunpowder ingredients as the Gorn kind of slowly moves towards him.
So maybe all of this, this last bit here where he's grinding it up and producing the gunpowder is actually 12 to 24 hours. And the Gorns is just that slow, and we're being sort of stepped through.
So, yeah, you could make some really rudimentary gunpowder if you just, like, mix the stuff together, but it would not explode very well.
It's like explode in a very haphazard sort of fashion. Like, maybe this bit will explode, maybe this part will just kind of fizzle a little bit, and the other part wouldn't do anything. So,
yep.
Of course, there's also the proportions you need to make sure are properly mixed. And I don't see Kirk with much as far as like measure equipment goes.
No, he's just kind of eyeballing it.
Yeah. Well, good luck, Kirk. You're gonna die.
Kirk loads the diamonds into the tube, which Spock comments is the hardest thing we know of. Oh my god.
Which isn't true technically, but it's close.
Yeah. I don't think the diamonds are really going to work that much better than any random rock.
Yeah.
But
they're sometimes naturally sharp, I guess.
Yeah. Whatever.
It might be better with like a flint, shard or something like that.
Kirk uses a flint shard and his recorder thingy to start a fire on a piece of fabric he ripped off of his pants.
So some flint and steel action.
Yeah.
Or something like Minecraft.
The Gorn finally finds him, and Kirk points the bamboo at the Gorn and fires it. The bamboo explodes.
Kaplammers!
Because we see the next scene, he's lying next to blackened bamboo that's been sort of shattered. And then we see the Gorn has diamonds stuck in him.
That seems very painful there.
Kirk is about to use the Gorn's weapon to finish him off, but then just says, nope, I'm not going to kill the Gorn because they were just trying to protect themselves. And he yells into the air in general that he's not going to kill the Gorn, which then disappears.
Wait a moment, was it an illusion the whole time? Wait, no, he probably just went back to his ship. Never mind.
Probably. A Metron appears. It's a, sort of androgynous woman in a weird Roman-esque looking outfit.
Yeah, toga time.
Kirk says that they look like a boy, and the Metron says that they're 1,500 years old.
Oh, well, that's an interesting answer to that observation, but okay.
They're impressed that Kirk showed mercy, which they feel shows hope for humanity.
You're not as crappy as we thought. Hooray!
The Gorn's been sent back to his ship, and if Kirk wants, they'll destroy them.
Nah.
Yeah, Kirk says no, and the Metron says that he's still half savage, but perhaps in a few thousand years you'll be ready.
Thank you?
Kirk goes back to the bridge. He orders that they leave, and Sulu reports that they're suddenly 500 parsecs away from where they were.
Oh, well, that's actually quite the distance. That's because a parsec is like 3.2 or 3 light years. So that's around 1,500 some light years away.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, in a blink of an eye.
Those 30 dudes they left on the planet are going to be there a while.
Yep, on a planet where everything was destroyed, and there may be a few other survivors, and who knows how much supplies left. Also, they're apparently in Gorn space, so they might be attacked again.
Yeah. Spock says they didn't see what happened after Kirk fired his cannon thing. And Kirk says, humans are a most promising species. Did you know that? In this super annoying way. Spock says he has his doubts, but Kirk says, I don't anymore. And in 1,000 years, maybe we'll prove it.
You're being evasive, Captain, so you murdered a guy and you're trying to ignore it. Is that what happened, Captain? Is that what you did? Are you a murderer now?
Ugh.
These ending scenes are maybe the most cringy of everything in the series so far.
Yeah, the way they just try to wrap up stuff is pretty horrible.
And here's not a lesson about the episode. Hooray!
I really prefer the Masters of the Universe ending, where it's like, you saw that we were all fighting today. Fighting is bad. Remember, solve your disagreements with words.
Yeah. If you can negotiate your way out of a confrontation, then you go do it. And really, if we're all on board with this, then we can get ourselves sorted out in anything.
Let's just talk, since we were talking about it a minute ago, let's talk about this weird incursion thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know how territory boundaries are supposed to work in space, but fine, there's apparently like a set line. We're kind of going off of the like video game model, like Stellaris or any of those other space-based ones where you just have this blobby border that randomly goes around your star systems, apparently.
And it extends so far, and everything with it, that's yours, apparently.
Yeah, but like, so we're supposed to have this thing of like, oh, the Federation was wrong to put a colony here, which they arguably were. You get some colonialist things happening here. So arguably, maybe they don't necessarily have the right to colonize wherever they frickin' please.
And in some ways, it's sort of like, okay, we're setting a colony. Now, there's no one living here on this particular patch of beach. Just a couple miles down the road, but we're gonna just pretend they're not there, sort of deal.
But like, I think we can pretty much agree in general. Like, if you set up a town in the neighboring country, it's generally polite for them to go, "Hey, did you know that's our land?" before they come in and kill everyone.
Yes, you seem to be building some houses just on our side of the border. Could you not, please? Or at least,
like, if they refuse to move, that's when you come in and kill everyone.
Yes. So obviously the Gorns are kind of asshats.
Yeah, but neither of them are particularly in the right here.
No. The Federation folks are sort of stumbling into, suddenly controlling space and planets and things like that, without properly maybe scouting out ahead, at the very least, to make sure this area is not claimed by somebody. Well, the Gorn's like, well, you're here, I'd have to destroy you now.
And I feel like they got into a bit of a problem because this has really tainted their message pretty severely.
Mm-hmm.
Because the entire idea here is supposed to be that they come in and all these aliens see as them on a mission of violence, and they assume that we're too savage of a race to be allowed to wander around. And then Kirk shows mercy to the alien, and that just changes their minds utterly of like, oh my god, we didn't know you were capable of mercy. But this isn't really mercy, because right up until he figures out that the Federation may have been in the wrong, he's like fully in bloodlust mode.
A little bit, yeah.
The only thing that changes his mind is like, oh darn, maybe I do not have the righteous high ground here.
Yeah, it severely undermines the messaging there, the whole twist of things, what's going on. And if they had kept on with like, no, this was a Federation colony, and the Gorns had no right to it, they just sort of showed up and started busting heads. Then then Kirk's sort of like, wait, maybe this violence thing isn't so cool.
Yeah, they don't do like any of that, and it's just a random sudden turn. It's not like that he figures out they can talk to each other and he starts trying to negotiate or something. It's just like, I'm going to kill you. Maybe not.
I kind of was wishing at one point that like Kirk would like try to negotiate exactly, and it's like, maybe if we like refuse to try to kill each other, that'll like upset the system, and they'll know not what to do with us, and they'll maybe that'll be enough. And the Gorn's like, nah.
That's like the ending of the first Hunger Games book.
I'm just gonna do the thing now. Stand still so I can punch you.
Yeah, this is like, I don't know. This whole thing is very odd. This is obviously sort of an allusion to the old mythologic kind of champion combat thing.
Oh, yeah.
That's also really a big part of the short story. Because the weird twist, the twist that you get here between the short story and every other version of this story that I've seen that they adapted from the short story, is in the short story, there's no mercy message. The human and the alien get sent to the arena. The human figures out how to win, and then he gets sent back to where the war was just about to start. And the human fleet commander goes, "Hey, did you know we just destroyed the enemy fleet in one shot? That's cool."
So I guess we don't have to worry about any sort of lessons then. We just sort of already won. Cool.
Yeah, it's just like the short story is straight up just champion combat. Like they send you in and go winner take all. I guess the general idea is this higher power decides that this war is going to wipe out too much of each species if it continues. So in their mind, it's better for like one species to become extinct completely and the other species to not take any damage, rather than both of them come to the verge of extinction.
Yeah, less total death. Still, it's a little genocidal, but
Yeah,
whatever.
just a bit. Also, you are some sort of like godlike super being.
So you could just tell them no and prevent them from fighting at all?
It actually kind of reminds me of that scene in Watchmen. In The Watchmen, when Dr. Manhattan, the superpowered being, like doesn't stop someone from shooting somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And they have this big monologue of like, you're too disconnected from humanity. You could have turned the gun into flowers, the bullet into snowflakes. Like, no, you just stood there and watched.
You did nothing. You have all this cosmic power, but no motivation to use it in any sensible fashion to stop exactly what you seem to be claiming you're wanting to stop.
I don't know. I'm getting a little sick of these higher being sits in judgment over humanity and figure out how great Kirk is storylines.
Well, maybe we should discuss maybe the right way to do that.
Sit in judgment over humanity?
Yeah. So let's imagine that we are, ultimate powerful beings of some sort, whatever flavor you want to go with exactly. And we are, for some reason, we've got it in our heads that we need to test this race called humanity. How do we test them? Do we drop them on a planet where they have to fight somebody?
Probably not.
No, that doesn't.
This is the interesting thing when you get down to it, because if you look at it from the higher beings perspective thing, it's actually very much how we treat and look at other animals.
Oh, a little bit.
Because they throw them both into this planet to fight. They're like, I can't deal with either of you. Like, just go sort it out. And then one of them refuses to kill the other, and like, oh my, mercy, I didn't think you were capable of such emotions. This changes everything.
So obviously, despite all your superpowers, you are sufficiently detached from the concept of a person.
Well, it's just really interesting.
You don't see us as people at the same time, so
it's interesting in the parallel because like every single time I see this in biology articles and things all the time, every frickin' time we discover that an animal has emotions or who has acted with altruism or done something that we have considered the objective realm of humanity, we go, oh my god, my worldview is shattered.
Again and again and again.
Yeah.
And these aliens really know better at this point. They should be past this phase of being constantly shocked by less advanced critters of various sorts, doing things that they do too.
You would think. I mean, you can't really base a test of a culture off of a single individual. There's a basic problem there.
So our test in our hypothetical is going to be needing something that affects the entirety of the society.
Well, if you're going to go with an actual test, you need a large data set.
Yes.
I'd personally go with something observational and passive.
That might be a better idea. I'm suddenly having flashbacks to the some Julian May here. Familiar with that? With Julian May's works at all?
No.
So they wrote a series of books about people with metapsychic powers. I think it's Julian May, and that there's the bit that takes place in the future, and there's the bit that takes place involving time travel in the super duper ancient past. But anyway, the stuff in the future, which I guess some of it's now the present and the past, involves a intergalactic civilization basically watching humanity as we are sort of trying to figure out ourselves and our how to come to grips with the fact that there's now people with mental powers all over the place. And at some point, it becomes sort of a well-known thing, and there's people who's like, well, these people are obviously monsters. We need to destroy them. And other people are like, no, don't do that. I might be one of them too, by the way. So there's these aliens, like, and every once in a while there'd be like a chapter or a short bit between chapters where it's like they're making observational logs or something like that, and it's like, there's this weird thing that happened here, but it's not enough to sort of hit our limit of first contact here, but we're hopeful that soon they'll be able to figure it out, and eventually the aliens show up when enough of the psychic people get together at one place and basically call up to space and it's like, hey, we're here, help. And thus the observation period ends, and the aliens are like, okay, welcome to the intergalactic community. You've passed the first test, I guess, that also the only test. Welcome.
So there's just this whole thing. So we talk about this, and a lot of people talk about this kind of thing, this kind of episode, in that kind of way of like a species is passing judgment on us or something, like this is all some kind of test. But it's not. Yeah. In the episode.
It's more or less just sort of we want you to not be fighting on our doorstep. We're going to put you in a situation where you're going to get this worked out without like possibly coming and bothering us.
Yeah, and it's like objectively one of the worst ways to do that.
Yep.
They have this superpower. They could stop them both, go, you're to stop fighting right now. One of you on that end of the galaxy, one of you on that end of the galaxy.
You can come together again once you've learned to calm down.
Yeah. Like they're doing it like a weird parent thing. I've noticed kind of a weird trend in this, and like through the Star Treks in general. We've only seen a couple of these all-powerful god being things so far. But you kind of wind up with kind of two flavors of judgment in these things. You get something like the Skyathos episode where he's kind of judging Kirk for what he's doing, but then it's later proven that he's just a child being. So you get kind of an inadequate judge. You get like, this person was standing in judgment over us, but it's revealed that he was not, did not have the right to do so.
Oh, he's no judge. He wasn't put on the bench. He wasn't confirmed or anything like that. He's just a kid. What gives, guys?
So if they judge you unworthy or badly or something, they are proved to be an inadequate judge. If they judge you well, Kirk gets all smug about it.
Yep. He judged well, and obviously this person's totally legit in his judging, and Kirk gets to pat himself on the back.
Yeah, and so you can't really you can't really do anything with that. No matter where you wind up with this, humanity is perfect.
One way or another, we are perfect. Hooray! Well, I guess it does kind of fit with the idea that this is supposed to be an idealistic future, but it's not really demonstrating. It's more just asserting it at this point.
You get into some interesting colonialism stuff since they made it a colony in Gorn space.
Yes.
And you also have the alien as sort of an enforcer of a colonialist ideology, because you have this colonization, and then the people who were colonized rebel against the colonization.
Yes.
They killed the colonizers. The colonizers chase them down to kill them in punishment. This higher power stops them, says I agree with everything you're doing, just put it on a smaller scale.
Yeah, just calm it down and figure it out, and if the colonizers are victorious, then no problem for me. Whatever.
Yeah, the colonizer wins using more advanced technology.
Yep.
We get into our gun germs and steel dude. I don't have time to get into. We've already been recording for an hour. I'm not going on that rant.
Don't worry. We'll have it at some point.
Yeah. He wins. He decides not to kill the guy, even though he's already like beat him up and shot him and done all this stuff. The colonizer is like slightly less horrible than the most horrible he could be.
Mm-hmm.
And the higher power praises the ever-living daylights out of it. It's like, oh my god, you are slightly less bad than the worst thing you could have ever possibly done. Look how amazing you are.
You've enacted quite a bit of suffering there. Good work for not making it maximum suffering.
Yes, let's all go have some tea and talk about cricket, let's say.
Yes. Jolly good and tally ho, I guess.
I don't know. There's a lot of angles that I kind of thought of to come at this because there's not a lot here, and they all end badly for us.
Everything's terrible and we should feel bad. Oh dear.
This is something. So this is something that I kind of meant to do since the beginning, and we get on these discussions and some of these tangents, and we do wind up in some interesting things. But I keep forgetting to ask the basic question. What is this episode trying to tell us about our culture?
Well, in the top level stuff, given that we're supposed to identify with Kirk, we should be super smug because we're awesome and because we're not complete monsters.
Yeah, we do get the top level, the thing that they like keep trying to drill into our heads over and over. That's just humanity is amazing and like the best thing ever. No, like not because we have improved, but generally, not because we're doing anything particularly well, just because humanity is by its very nature the best thing in the universe.
Hey, I got a C-. That's still a pass.
Yeah. At least it's not an F, seems to be the message of this episode.
Yes. And I guess the Gorn got a D+, comparatively.
If you want to go with the message that they're trying to send, it's that our capacity for mercy like somehow puts us above other species.
Yes, like these Gorn fellows, because they came in here and just murdered everybody and were unwilling to let people surrender. So obviously they have no mercy, but humans demonstrate that they have the capacity for mercy and thus are more awesome that way.
Yeah. Though we already demonstrated how this is not particularly mercy or altruism. Like it's Kirk covering himself because he made a mistake and was out for blood when he didn't have the righteous authority to do so.
Well, maybe it should be maybe we can reimagine it as sort of a warning, a parable, a morality tale of not to let bloodlust overcome us, and maybe take a step back and try to figure out the why of something before we try to go to warp 8 and chase down people.
Yeah. I mean, so there's something that people get out of this storyline. Because this storyline has basically been happening since at least the ancient Greeks. Possibly even as far back as the Epic of Gilgamesh, depending on how you want to interpret the kind of champion warfare style of storytelling.
The great man faces off against the other great man. They have a fight, and somebody maybe wins, and then the consequences happen.
Well, that decides the whole thing. That's the entire idea, is we were going to have a war, but instead we just have one champion from each side fight it out and decide everything. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. So, is it just an easy-to-grasp kind of stand-in for politics? War is big and complicated and scary and horrible, so to boil down something that complicated in a storytelling context, we're just going to give it two representative figures.
Yes, and have these figures represent the ideologies that are in competition, have them face down one-on-one, and whatever is more righteous is therefore more mighty, and thus strength makes might, and might makes strength and rightness.
Yeah, you do get to a lot of kind of might makes right ideology with this kind of thing. Which you did have. You had the kind of trial by combat stuff throughout a lot of history. And that had champions in it, like a rich person who needed to go through a trial by combat could appoint a like champion to fight for him.
Yes.
All that style of thing.
Like, well, I'm not very good at whole lifting things in general. You there, Mister Big Strong, Huge? Take up a sword in my name. I'll give you some gold. Okay. How about some silver? This is evil time. Gold isn't as important yet. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I do find it kind of interesting looking at it today, and I probably in the 60s a little bit, though this one does get into, since it's both captains fighting, and we have shown the captain to be this nigh super being by this point.
All power.
Yeah, it is more of the like epic fight kind of thing. But it's interesting because you take this idea of the champion combat, if you move it into a modern setting, which some people still talk about a little bit, it's become more of a wish fulfillment fantasy.
A little bit, yeah.
Of like, let's just take the leaders and have them fight so the rest of us don't have to deal with their dumb stuff.
And sometimes it gets distilled into various other formats. Like, it's like, oh, here's the setting where everyone's playing chess to figure out who's going to lead the weird, or rollerball, or it was a mahjong. I think it was an anime. They had like actual world leaders playing mahjong to figure out who's going to be victorious in various debates or whatever.
Yeah, in the modern setting, it does kind of go into this whole politics as game idea that we talk about a lot. I don't know what it was supposed to be in the 60s.
Maybe this is sort of during a weird transition period for this sort of story, where we're not quite to the full game side of things yet, but we're still still a bit of the visceral heroes upon heroes sort of things, and given the sort of overall tone of the series, that maybe a bit fits a bit more in this case.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because if I actually think about it, this is really a have your cake and eat it scenario.
A little bit.
Because Kirk won the might competition.
Yes.
With ingenuity, apparently, with our ability to make technology.
I used the brain muscle to win, because that's the only one I'm strong at. Dang it.
So, Kirk wins, but then is also rewarded for his, capacity for mercy. It would possibly be a stronger message if he, refused to fight at a certain point and was about to lose.
Yeah. It's like, no.
I refuse to participate in this blood sport because I believe killing this person for these reasons would be wrong.
That would
and then would lose.
Yeah, that would definitely back up his strength of his argument there, and the whole episode in total. Like perhaps when he maybe even he gets to that point where it's like, well, I'm not going to fight you anymore. I'm just going to run because you seem to be very intent on fighting. And then he falls into the trap, and then it's like, well, maybe I can't run. Maybe I will be perpetually caught in traps, and eventually one of them will get me. And then at that point, it's like, maybe I need a different plan.
But when they do it this way, it's still a might makes right story. Because, he won, and that put him in the position to do this mercy thing. It doesn't really say anything about his nature as a human or whatever the thing is that they praise him for later. It's like he still would have done fine. If he'd killed the Gorn, he would have gone back to his ship. They would have got sent away. Everything would have ended more or less the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like this act of mercy is the thing that saved humanity and therefore is our saving grace thing. It's just this extra thing they added on top of it that really doesn't serve a lot of purpose other than for some stupid moralizing at the end of the story.
And some vague statements.
Yeah. And being mean to Spock again, because you have to do that at least once per episode.
Yeah, pretty much, Maybe not a Spock-centric episode, everyone has to be mean to him.
Yeah, I'm starting to struggle a little. This episode is not well constructed.
Not really. It almost seems like two different episodes kind of tacked together in some ways.
It does.
Because you got the early stuff with the on the planet, and they're in a fight, and then they're chasing the ship, and then suddenly we're now fist fighting.
Yeah, and doesn't it feel like at the end, like they filmed the whole thing with Kirk and they had him put together this gun, and then they like watched it back and went, wait, not everyone's gonna know how to make gunpowder.
So let's add some stuff
let's add in a scene where Spock is watching this, narrating how to make gunpowder.
That actually makes a lot of sense now. You mention it, and sort of like, well, we need a narrative device here because people are just not going to get it.
I know. Why is Spock the narrative device? We've had Kirk complaining about finding weapons on this planet, monologuing the entire time. Why does Spock suddenly come in at the end and start narrating?
Kirk, you could monologue about this yourself. Come on.
Yeah, they outsourced the monologuing.
Well, maybe Kirk was tired, and so the Metrons were like, we need somebody to be explaining what's going on, because we're meta characters. We know that there's an audience out there, so we need to have someone be able to mention what's going on and explain it to the audience. I know it doesn't make any sense, but come on.
Yeah.
We're going to do this.
I feel like apart from anything that this episode says about humanity or whatever it's trying to do, it's doing it so badly that it's difficult to talk about. But a very interesting thing from this episode, I think, is just the fact that it is so iconic within the original series run. It's arguably the most iconic episode.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah. The second place would probably go to the Tribbles.
Yeah,
the Tribbles there.
But I do think that like more lay people, like someone who's not who wouldn't consider themselves a Star Trek fan necessarily, would probably recognize the Gorn from this episode. They might even be able to name the thing.
Like, oh yeah, the bug-eyed monster from Star Trek. The Corn, the Lorn, no, the Gorn. There we go.
Yeah. So it's an interesting one that this is so iconic because it is so badly done.
Yep.
Like, what does that say about the show as a whole, that the most iconic moment from the show is famous because it is so cringy and cheesy?
I think it means that perhaps the initial we want more Star Trek mode was more of a we want more cheesy sci-fi as opposed to this specifically.
Yeah, I guess it was just like some of it was cheesiness. I do see a little bit of the point when I look at it from a cheesy perspective. That's one of the weirdest things I've ever said out loud.
It's like, oh, this is kind of cute when you look at it like this. You don't, sort of the more the this is so bad it's good sort of territory in some ways.
But I do kind of see the thing that people were talking about if I think of it as less of a serious sci-fi show. Because as a really, really cheesy sci-fi show, it does have a lot more messaging than anything else that's doing this.
Yes.
It's just not good messaging. It's certainly not done well, but it's
trying something.
Yeah, it is trying. They're experimenting with something new, and I can respect that at least.
Yeah, I guess maybe in the context of sci-fi in general, this was still cutting edge at the time. It's like, oh, we're trying something, but given that what we've tried before was really, really weird and also didn't make sense, or was basically just lifting from much better authors and us, we didn't have to try very much. We're going to experiment with something new, and
yeah, and it's not bad. Like I said, the sculpt is actually good. The design on this Gorn is really good. If it could move better. The knees are going out on the thing.
It's like I'm kind of lumbering and staggering towards you very slowly.
Yeah, but you have like visible discoloring on the joints where the rubber is stretching as the actor moves around.
Yep. It might have been better to do the sort of maybe a body paint thing and just sort of like have gloves for the hands and then the Gorn's wearing an outfit, so you can sort of just have the head meld into that somehow.
Yeah, I could see ways to do it a little bit better. They were on a shoestring budget.
Yeah.
So for what they had, it's pretty good.
They've already painted at least one person green so far, so
yeah, that's
I guess
true.
I can understand.
At least it's not a sexy green alien dancing.
True. Sexy dancing alien Gorns.
What the? So does that mean if we're gotten to sexy alien dancing Gorns, does that mean it's time for our game show?
Oh, I think it is.
It's time for the galaxy's favorite game show.
Woohoo! Welcome to the awards section of the program of Watches of Tomorrow, everybody, where we are going to give some awards to some of our friends today in today's episode. Today's first award is Sufficiently Advanced Aliens goes to the Metrons for being out of this world. Gepwin, what do they win?
Metrons win some better experimental methodology. Give them a rat in a maze or something. Crying out loud.
Yeah, I think they certainly need such, because their methods are way out of space and time here. The next award is Grr, I say. Grr goes to the Gorn for going grr and growling a lot. And in fact, that's most of his dialogue. Skepwin, what does he win?
The Gorn wins a lovely set of knee and arm pads to cover up those horrible splotchy bits on his knees and elbows.
I think you can make good use of those, Gepwin. The third award is Show Within a Show. The Enterprise goes to the Enterprise crew for watching an episode of Star Trek while being on an episode of Star Trek. What do they win?
They win a better TV because the aspect ratio on this thing annoyed me.
I think they'd appreciate that. In fact, they might be able to have more displays on their main screen viewer and be able to, not have to, ask everybody for status updates. They can just look up there and say, oh, our power's going out. Maybe we should do something about that. We have a fourth award today, the MacGyver Award. It goes to Kirk for building a freaking gun with stuff he finds laying around on the ground. What does he win, Gepwin?
For the MacGyver Award, Kirk wins a pile of junk and he can make his own dang prize.
Hoo-ha! He's so clever, he's going to be able to pull this off, I'm sure of it. Thank you very much, everyone, for the awards portion of the program. Until next time, we'll have more awards.
Thank you for joining us on the galaxy's favorite game show. Well, we recorded way too long for an episode that cringy and about nothing.
It happens.
Yeah. I do feel like I need to mention before we leave out, when I was looking up this episode at the end of our last recording session, I found a Hallmark statue of the Gorn about to stab Kirk with the rock. It is not sculpted well. Kirk looks about 20 pounds overweight and is not sculpted to look anything like William Shatner. And when you hit the little button on the statue, it plays the music from the episode and has the Gorn go grrr.
Grrr. Grrr, I say.
I don't have a good way to include it in anything, but look up Star Trek Arena Hallmark.
Yes, it's a Hallmark keepsake ornament. Seriously, it's weird.
Yeah, I cannot. Why does Hallmark make so many Star Trek things? It is the weirdest, and I've never understood it.
Maybe they have the exclusive license to Christmas ornaments for Star Trek. I guess
they probably do. But I just love your Hallmark keepsake for that one time you almost got stabbed.
Hooray! And I should point out that it's specifically the point in the episode where Kirk is partially covered by a boulder, but the Gorn's moving out of the way so we can escape, while also trying to stab him at the same time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just I had no good place to put that in the episode, but people need to know that this thing exists.
And it's kind of glorious, actually.
Yeah, it's just a testament to weird Hallmark Star Trek stuff.
Maybe someday down the road we'll do an entire episode about that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think we need to list a special on weird Star Trek junk. Next episode, next week, is the we finally get to catch up on the two-parter that they set up at the end of Naked Time.
Oh. We're going to figure out a time travel situation?
Yeah. So if you missed it earlier on, at the end of the episode Naked Time, the ship accelerates faster than any ship has ever accelerated before. Oh my good glory God. And
oh no, we're past warp 8?
Yeah, past warp 8. Their chronometer starts running backward, and they turn it off and have gone back in time like a day and a half or some insignificant something in that. But the original plan was for them to go back in time and wind up at 1960s Earth, which is now this episode that they played like what was that, like 14 episodes ago?
Yep. Because the Naked Time was like episode 4 or 5, and this next one's gonna be episode 19.
Yeah. So like more than 15 episodes later, we have gotten to the follow-up to Naked Time.
It's like, well, we have some sort of time travel device here. Let's get around to using it finally, after we've done everything else we possibly could do.
Yep. So you can join myself and Dr. Isix here next week on Watches of Tomorrow, where we will be covering Tomorrow is Yesterday.
Yes. Tomorrow was yesterday. Tomorrow, on the day that we released that episode.
How many times are we going to have to say tomorrow, since it's in the name of the show and the name of the episode?
I don't know.
Find out next week.
Next time on Watchers of Tomorrow, we watch a TV show from the 1960s set in the 1960s. You have been listening to Watchers of Tomorrow, a podcast on science fiction media. Find and follow Watchers of Tomorrow on Podbean, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Pocket Cast, Spreader, Digital Podcast, and perhaps many more to come. If you enjoy our podcast, make sure to subscribe for more. And where possible, make sure to rate your experience or leave us a review. You may find Gepwin on youtube.com/Gepwin and Twitter @Gepwin. You may find me, Dr. Isix, on youtube.com/Dr. Isix and Twitter @IsixLP. Music is Waveform and Mori's Principle, both by DRKRN. You can also check out the Watchers of Tomorrow Discord channel. Make sure to share the experience with your friends, family, enemies, and alien overlords. If you feel you are suffering from transporter syndrome, please be aware that the next time you step off the transporter, that you, that is now, no longer exists.